So your business is past $2 million in revenue. You've got staff, you've got payroll, you've got real overhead. You're not lazy because you've got the business successful. That's not the problem that you'll be facing. What you're going to be facing is you're putting in more and more hours than you ever had before. Your team is busy, your calendar is full, and the bottom line hasn't really moved in months. Now, the gap between the effort and the results is a thing that starts to keep you up at night. Not because you don't know how to work, because you do, but because working harder used to be the answer. That was the winning strategy, and now it's not working the way it used to be. Now, there's a reason for that, and it's not your strategy, it's not your team, and it's not the economy. It's a pattern, and it's one of 4 specific patterns that pull business owners off course without them even realizing it. Now, 2 of them you're going to feel, but 2 of them you won't. And the 2 that you won't feel, they're the ones that are by far the most damaging. So today I'm going to give you the 4 pattern diagnostic, which is the grinder, the quitter, the reactor, and the overconfidence. So you can name exactly which one is running your business right now. I'll show you why 2 of these patterns are far more dangerous than the other 2, and how to tell if you're in one of them without even knowing that you're in it. And I'll walk you through the 3-step correction process to diagnose, to future pace the cost, and choose your next 3 actions. How do I know this? Is because it's been built from well over a decade, working really intensely in depth in the trenches with over 2,400 businesses. This is not theory, this is a framework that you can use on yourself today. So in this video, I'm going to go through the 5 key points to help you overcome these patterns, when to know when you're on track, when you know you're off track, and how to make sure you stay on track. Here are the points. Number 1, why every business is either drifting or deciding. We're going to go through the 4 demons. Then we're going to go through which of these 2 are the most dangerous than the other 2, how to diagnose which one you're in right now, and the last one, the 1 skill that you need to overcome all of those. And if you want the self-diagnostic tool we reference on this today, then just grab it in the link below. Now, if you simplify the leadership of your business down to its essence, there are only 2 paths. Let me show you what that looks like. At any given moment, you're either on track, which is what we call the green line. And this is, in this place here, you're making the right decisions. So you're deciding in advance and you're being really clear. Or you're off track and you're drifting, and that's the red line. Now, here's the thing most people miss. Even though I've drawn this red line as a smooth, gentle slope, it's not really in real life. It actually looks more like this. Oh, I'm on track. Oh, I'm off track. Oh, yeah, okay, let's do this course and let's do this. Oh, no. And it actually ends up being a little bit more like that, with little dips, little ups, and little downs, little recoveries. But the overall direction is actually in a downward direction. And what happens is that over time, these dips actually become even more significant. The further away we go from here, these motions become a lot more volatile. And here's what's critical to understand, that right now, today, at this point here, this is the gap between these 2 here is very small. In fact, the gap here will be the smallest that it will ever be. The truth is, between the red line and the green line, you barely even notice the change. It might be a couple of percentages off, just a decision behind. Nothing really dramatic, nothing really big. But let's fast forward now 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, and even further. Now, this gap here becomes irretrievable. But what happens is the business that is just a little bit off course at the beginning now, when we get to this place here, it's now really in trouble city. Now, I read an article once that said if you flew a plane from Sydney to Los Angeles, 98% of the time, it's actually off course. You think about that. 98% it's off course. So how does it get to the ultimate destination? It does because it identifies when it's off course and realigns quickly. It does that consistently all the way through the whole flight. Businesses go into drift. That's okay. They go off the red line. That is okay. That happens. The question is not whether you go off course. The question is how fast you notice and how fast you can correct. Just like the plane that's going from Sydney to Los Angeles, it's mostly off course, but it's the speed through the instruments that it's able to learn that it's off and then be on track again. And here's what we know. Every breakthrough is preceded by a breakdown. We know that these red lines happen. That's part of the course. That's part of the normal hero's journey that you go on. It's the ups and the downs. It's the dark night of the soul when you think you're going to give up and actually you don't. You stay on track. You keep on going. That's the decision that you make to stay on the green light. And the speed and the consistently that you do that, just like the plane that's flying, is the important piece. The problem is that most people are traveling in their business plane and they're in drift and they don't realize that they're there. Not only do they not realize it, they don't recognize it. And they don't know until something becomes a major point. Here's the message. You will go off track. Everyone goes off track. The skill isn't staying perfectly on the green line, on course. It's noticing when you're actually drifting and then pulling yourself back on track before the gap, before that expansion becomes too wide that it becomes irretrievable. Now the gap between drifting and deciding is an invisible gap. You can't necessarily see it today, but in 18 months, this gap becomes huge. So the question is, if drift is inevitable, the next question is, what does drift actually look like so you can notice it? And when you notice it, you can do something about it. Because the truth is, this is the same for everyone. It shows up in 4 very specific patterns. Let's go through the 4 different patterns right now. When a business goes off track, the owner almost always falls into one of 4 habitual behaviors. And we call them the 4 demons. The most important thing I can tell you about this is 2 of them, you're going to know you're in it. You're going to feel the demon. And 2 of them are like silent little killers that you will not know you're in. And they're the ones that will turn you upside down and kill your business. So let me introduce you to the 4 demons. Now, each one of them shows up at a different point in the journey, and each one has a different personality to it. But they all do the same thing, and that is, they pull you off the green line and put you onto the red line. So let's go through the overview of the 4 demons. The first one I'm going to call is Reggie. Reggie needs results. He's the grinder. He's super talented, hardworking, great technician, but the results are just not showing up on the bottom line of business. They've been at it, working solely for quite a period of time, but the real risk is the spark inside of them is starting to fade. Let's go to Olivia. Olivia is all over it. Olivia is the quitter. Now, mentally, they're resigned. They're overwhelmed. They're done. Screw it. I'm cutting costs, is usually what they say. I'm going to just make this business a lot smaller. It was way more profitable when we were smaller. I'm going to shrink it. It's just going to be me. I don't have team. I don't have drama. And it's going to be good. And it's often triggered by a key person in their team leaving, or they're just hitting the wall after a long term of grind. Whereas Reggie is still going on, but the Reggie, he's kind of working super solidly, and the spark is going, here, Olivia's done. I'm out of here. Screw everyone. We're finished. Then let's jump on to the next one, which is Leone. Now, Leone needs more leads. Leone is the reactor. A big client just left. A big pipeline deal just fell through. All the marketing they've been putting all the money into isn't working. The challenge with Leone is scarcity mode kicks in. Their crocodile brain takes over and they start to cut expenses, start firing team and taking poor fit clients out of desperation because they go, I just need money, I just need some leads, I'm just going to bring them in. That's Leone. Then we get on to Henry. Henry has hubris. Henry is the overconfident. They've just had a big win, they're feeling invincible, they're like a teenager who's got their driver's license, and truly, this is the thing is, they truly believe that they're a better driver than their parents. The thing is, they haven't had enough accident yet to know what they don't know. Now here's the critical distinction, and this is the part that matters the most. If we draw a line down the middle, we look at the left-hand side here, and Reggie and Leone, they know they're on the red line. They feel it. They're frustrated, they're anxious. They know that something needs to change. That's the awareness enough for them to go, this is uncomfortable. That's actually an advantage, even though it doesn't look like it at the time. Because when you can see it, you can change it, you can make some differences. On the other hand though, Olivia and Henry think that they're on the green line. Olivia thinks that by cutting costs is a really smart decision. Now that can be in the right thing, but this is coming from a scarcity place. This is coming from like, I'm done, screw everyone, I'm just gonna bring it down, I'm gonna just make money for me. Henry, which is probably the most dangerous. These three are usually savable, but Henry is usually the one that grows, and bam, is out of business. Because Henry thinks that the big win, they've got it all figured out. Now, here's a really important thing, please, if you're wherever you are, whatever you're doing right now, please write this down. That the seed of failure is planted at the height of success. Now, I know when we look at Henry, his seed of failure is being sown right now. He's just unaware of it. Both Olivia and Henry are making decisions, but the decisions are pulling them further off course. Now, this is what makes Olivia and Henry far more dangerous. Because when you think that you're on the green line, but you're actually on the red line, you don't course correct. Whereas on the other side here, you do know you need to course correct. The problem with this side is you're now making decisions that are accelerating you in the wrong direction. And by the time you realize it, that gap becomes far too wide. The most dangerous place in business isn't knowing you're off track. It's thinking you're on track when you're actually not. So what I want to do is I want to unpack these two first, and then we're going to unpack this, because the more you understand it, the more you're going to realize it, and that awareness is going to help you to come on track. So just talking about the first two here, they feel really painful, but they're the easiest one to fix. I know that when people present, these two demons feel like the worst, but just knowing that they're the most fixable is actually good for you to know, because the person inside them knows that there's something wrong. That's the key part. So let's tackle and talk about Reggie first. Reggie is usually the highest income earner within the business. They're super talented. They have great work ethic. They're usually the creative genius, but they're stuck in the grind. And they're working somewhere at least 60 to 70 plus hours a week. And the problem is there's no money left over, or very little, for the effort they're putting out. In fact, when you look at Reggie could go and get a job, and Reggie knows that they could get paid more by doing a job with none of the stress than they do being involved in the business. Now, the real danger with Reggie isn't the lack of results. It's what happens inside. It's the spark inside. Now, if I was going to invest $100,000 in any business, the single most important thing that I'd want to look at is the person who's leading the charge in that business. Do they still have the mojo? Have they still got the fire in the belly? Because when that starts to fade, that's the death knell for the business. So what does Reggie need to know? There are three things. The first thing that Reggie needs to do to get out of being in the funk is, number one, tight goals. Now, I'm not talking big grand vision or like 3 years away. Because they've been in the grind, they need to get some quick wins. We're looking at least 4 months at the maximum. You're looking at maximum 4 months, and super duper specific. What are we achieving in the next 120 days? They want to have a sense of hope, because Reggie's been chasing a big dream for so long without any results. They need to celebrate some small wins. Success is best measured backwards, not against the lofty goals. Because what happens is when they set these big dreams and these big goals, and they're always, even though they're making progress, they're still a long way off, they beat themselves up. Success is always better measured when looking backwards and looking at the progress you've made from where you come from. So we keep it nice and tight, 120 days. We go, oh, I've made progress. Doesn't matter if they haven't hit their big goals, but as long as they made their progress. The second thing that Reggie needs to look at is to free his time. Reggie is usually the bottleneck of their business. They're optimizing for money when they should be optimizing for more freeing of their time. Until they free their time, nothing changes. Now, if you look at the red line, which is the drift, or the green line, which one gives you more joy? Is when you're making progress on the green line. So what we need to do is free their time up so they're not just in the funk of having to work so hard and being the grinder. And the third thing is to book a holiday, to book some time out. So when I ask Reggie, when's your next break? They'll either say, I haven't got one planned, usually, or they'll say, oh, yeah, I've got one 9 months away. The truth is, that's not good enough. If you go more than 4 months without a decent break, then you will get fatigued if you are the leader of a business. You need to have the brightness of the future. Now, if someone says, I can't really take a big break, which is usually what they say, even though they can, what I will then say is, let's have a battle break. I did 18 years in the military, and when you're in a field of battle, you can have battle break where you just come back. A battle break from a business context mean, why don't I have some long weekends? Why don't I take every second Friday off so I get a 3-day weekend? I don't mind even if you go camping somewhere rather than going a big overseas holiday. There needs to be something that you're working towards that's not just the business. The big message for Reggie is that we've got to get the spark back. You've got to get the spark back before you try and push forward. You can't set bigger goals because they're just going to run out of steam. And when you run out of steam or you run out of mojo, the business will fall off the wagon for sure. And one more principle that's really important for Reggie especially. If we talk about freeing time, one of the things is building a holiday. The other one here, and it's an important principle, is to recruit in your company for growth, not because of it. If you have to wait until you're desperate to hire, until Reggie's already at 110% of effort that he can put in, you won't have the time to recruit properly. You won't have the time to onboard properly, and they will probably leave. And guess what? You're back to square one. Have you heard of that story before? Probably. So what we're going to do is we're going to recruit for growth rather than because of it. That's Reggie. Now let's jump on and talk about Leonie, because Leonie needs more leads. Now Leonie is in scarcity mode, even though she may not want to admit it. What's happened? A big client has just gone. A pipeline deal that they expected has just fallen through. The marketing campaign ain't working the way that they expected. They were doing like a Hail Mary shot, and I was like, oh, it ain't working. What happens now is their crocodile brain has kicked into gear, that Neanderthal part of the brain that makes emotional decisions rather than logical ones. And this is normal. This is what happens when the cash is low. When the cash comes down, the intelligence also comes down. When the intelligence comes down, people do silly things. They chase silver bullets. They go, oh man, here's that 20,000 or 30,000 marketing program, usually is a common one. Or I've got this amazing person that I can just put into the business and that's going to solve all my issues. Promises, promises, promises. The challenge is they're not delegating and they're abdicating. They're instead of going, yes, this is actively what I need to do, go, oh, I don't want to handle that problem, so I'm just going to pay someone to sort it out for me. And here's the worst part of it all. They start to take on poor fit clients because the cash is low. They're going, oh man, maybe I'll just pull those clients in. And then what happens is that then sucks their energy and they go, why the hell am I doing this in the first place? Because they're working with clients now that don't really value what they do and they're not really necessarily wanting to pay what it's worth. So what does Leonie need? First thing Leonie needs is to understand that this is a mindset game. And yes, you've got some challenges. What you understand though, that you're in a bar fight. Just imagine this. There's a biffo, a fight happening in a bar. You go out the back of the bar, you're in the alleyway, and you're coming out fighting. That is the energy that Leonie needs, not abdicating it. It's about bringing it back in and going, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make this thing happen. You've got to come out fighting. This is not the time for an nice gentle strategy. This is a time to be ultra hyper focused. It is no mucking around and very, very vigilant. The second thing is that Leonie needs to block consistent time of at least 4 hours a week working on lead generation activity for themselves. They may be working with other people. It could be ringing up, making partnership conversations. There's lots of things they could be doing, but this is not a time to abdicate. This is a time that they need to get in and really make it work even more. Everything else should be not as critical. What they want to be doing is working up to the place of minimum 4 hours, especially in this stage of the business, and they get to the place where they can get up to 1 to 2 days a week, and they are out of the bar fight, and they're on the green line, and that'll be a rocket ship that moves in the right direction. The third thing is for Leonie to go for the low-hanging fruit. What I mean by that, not some silver bullet strategy because they don't feel like they want to get in, not abdicating something out there. What they want to do is go to that low-hanging fruit. Past clients they haven't spoken to. Prospects that maybe said no 6, 12, 18 months ago, because they weren't ready to buy then, but now they're ready right now. Who are the referral partners? When was the last time you spoke to them? When did you give them a call and say, hey, Mary and Bob, how are you actually going? There's also the product to client matrix. I'm going to put a link in below because there's another video where I go through and explain more details. But what it does is it gives you an action plan of looking at the clients you're working with who you've already got in your database and how you can give them a full and remarkable solution. What you do is then go back to them as a true trusted advisor, not as a salesperson, to truly add value. The person who adds the most value or unprecedented value is the person that's going to win. And critically, for Leone, don't think about yourself. Because their cash is going down a little bit, what can often happen is they start thinking, I need this deal. They get into desperado mode, and you know what? People can smell, like animals can sense fear. People can smell when someone's in desperado mode. Because what happens is the owner is just thinking about themselves. What we want to do is we want to flick the switch. We want to go from being the desperado to being the trusted advisor, to thinking about them, the people that they're serving. And when you do that, the cash will follow. Now, Reggie and Leone, in that state, it feels painful. But the fix is really clear. What happens then is that get the mojo back, get hyper-focused, go for the low-hanging fruit. These are the demons that you can beat quickly if you move and when you move quickly. So let's simplify it. Reggie needs a holiday. Leone needs a hit list. Both need to stop grinding and start deciding. So if you're recognizing yourself in any of these right now, one of the simplest way to do is to book a growth driver call with us. There'll be a link below. And what we can do is we can help you identify where you're at and specifically what you need to do about it. You can do it by trial and error and work it out on your own. If you do, that's fantastic. But if you want the straight route, you want to see around the corners that you haven't seen before, then we'd love to help you on that. Just jump on the link and we'll see you soon. So now let's talk about the other two that are far more dangerous, because these are the ones where the owner thinks that they're making the right call. So these are the two that are most dangerous, not because the owners are less capable, but because they don't know that they're off track. They think that they're making green line decisions, but they're actually not. So let's go through Olivia, who's over it. Here the thing is, Olivia's been doing the business for a while and she's just cracked the shits, as you'd say. Overwhelmed, mentally resigned, screw it. Everyone else is making money except for me, so I'm cutting costs and I'm going to make things profitable. I'm going to shrink this stuff and I'm just going to make sure that I look after me. Now here's the truth, the business is usually doing okay. Not usually in dire straits, but not what they really want. So what happens is they start cutting, they start letting team go. It's kind of like when someone says, I want to lose weight, so they're going to lose weight, so they cut off an arm. You just lost weight, but now you've got no arm. And they do some things that end up reducing their service that they can provide to their clients. They pull back on their marketing, and for a moment, the profit looks better. So Olivia is just over it. Olivia is done. Olivia is overwhelmed. Everyone else is making money, so I'm cutting costs so I can make money as well. She's over cutting costs. And I'm fine for a business of cutting costs to make it more profitable. What happens here, the business is usually doing okay. It's not like dire straits, but it's not what Olivia wants. So they go, bugger you. So they start cutting, they start letting team go. They reduce their services and they pull back on their marketing because I'm not going to spend any money. Everyone's making money except for me. And then what happens? A few months later, everything drops. And what happens then? They cut costs again. Things go up for a brief moment, then it drops again. And what ends up happening here for Olivia is they end up being in this yo-yo that is going down and down each time they do that. And it's super frustrating. And the thing is, they're usually really, really smart. But every cycle that does, the business gets smaller, a little weaker, a little more fragile. And here's the trap. Olivia thinks that she's being smart. She thinks that cutting the cost is a green line decision. Now, it is to a certain point, but it usually goes over. She's making what they would call tough calls, but what she's actually doing is downsizing the dream. And if the business isn't growing, it's dying. This is also usually the place when people say, oh, I don't need coaching anymore. I know what I'm doing. I've learned everything I need to know. We'll be fine. Now I can tell you 100% of the time I've seen someone go down this pathway, the business deteriorates. Sometimes it takes a few weeks, sometimes it takes a few months, sometimes it might take up to a year. But it slowly peters away, like a little cancer that sets in and keeps on growing. Then they eventually come back and say, I think you were right. So what Olivia actually needs number one is to push through, not overcutting costs. What will usually happen as well here, that's important, is the second thing is the product will need more work. There's usually a problem with the way that they've packaged and promoted their product. With a few tweaks can usually put it back into being more profitable. Key message here is that they get more leverage, more profit, and when you do that, more joy comes into gear. The other thing that needs to happen is the team needs a pulse check. And what I mean by that is, yeah, there might be some people that are not right for the bus and we need to move them on. Chances are it's a leadership issue. And what Olivia needs to do is to fall back in love with why she started the business in the first place and be the champion for the people that she actually serves. And one of the ways to do that is to future pace the cost of inaction. So what we can do is fast forward 2 years and ask yourself the question, if you keep cutting, if you keep shrinking, if you keep downsizing, what will happen to the dream that you started out for? And I know you may not like it right now, but let's just have a little reminder around why you started it. What does that mean for your family? What does it mean for your health? What does it mean for your finances? That could be the stick. It's kind of like, oh, that's the reason I started this thing in the first place. That's the reason why I do this. Then the flip it is then go, okay, cool. Then what we need to do is we just need to push through some of these difficult spots that are on right now. We need to push through. You need to trust the process. You need to trust the guide, and you need to trust yourself. When you do those three trusts, that's what's going to help you to accelerate. We then do some product refinement that can help you to enhance what you're delivering to your client. And it's usually just a couple of things. And that is the carrot to get you excited to go forward. So let's talk about Henry, who's got hubris. Now, Henry is very different from the other three. We've got Reggie, Olivia, and Leonie. They show up at the bottom of the hero's journey, what we talk about in the abyss. They're in that place where if you're going through life, everyone goes through this journey, and down in the abyss is where like, oh, I'm done, I'm out of this. And they're just gonna make the personal change, and they go, cool. They trust themselves, they trust the process, and they trust the guide. Then they can move through. Now, Henry shows up usually on the other side of the window here. Henry shows up when they actually had a great big win. And this is why it's probably the most dangerous. What happens with Henry is Henry usually has landed a really big client or customer, which means it's got some big money that's coming. Revenue is going up. There's a heap of cash that's coming into the business, maybe for the first time in a long time. And this feels good. The problem is this feeling good turns into feeling invincible. Think of this like a teenager who's just got their driver's license for the first time. They really believe that they can drive better than their parents. Can you remember when you started driving? I know I certainly did. The truth is they just haven't had enough accents yet to know, or near misses to know, that they don't know yet. And this is where the most serious crashes happen. They're going faster than ever before. And this is where I love the writings of an amazing author called Jim Collins. He's famous for writing a book called Good to Great. But he also wrote another book that was incredible, which is called Why the Mighty Fall. And what he studied was the most successful businesses, some of the most profitable companies in the entire world, and traced how they collapse. Now, the very first stage is hubris. What does hubris look like? It is overconfidence. And what happens, really good people who have got some great success and may have worked a long time, they start to get a little bit arrogant. And here's the thing, it's human nature. So here's what hubris looks like in a real business. The owner starts to take their eye off the ball. They buy that expensive car that they can go out and show their mates. They stop attending team meetings. They go, I don't need to be in that one, I can just go in this one. They lose their personal rigor and some of their team rigor. What also then happens, a key team member leaves because no one's paying attention anymore. And then suddenly they're back at the bottom and they go, from Henry Hubris to straight to Olivia, I'm over it, I'm done, I'm finished. The consequences with Henry are the most severe. With Olivia, the business deteriorates slowly, but with Henry, it can be growing, and boom, it's gone. Here's a question for you. How many companies on the stock exchange or in any stock exchange around the world don't have a board of directors? Zero. Donuts. None. And the CEOs of those companies are some of the most educated, experienced, some of the most talented people on the whole planet. Now, if they need a board of directors to keep them accountable, what makes you think, Henry Hubris, that you don't? What Henry needs is to get, now excuse the language, Henry needs to get shit scared. What I mean by that is they're going to take that windfall, that big win, and parlay that to double down on the rigor, triple down on the structure, build their war chest. Don't buy that Porsche. Build the machine that's going to last and be sustainably scalable. Now, the measure for Henry is time. What I mean by that is how many months, Henry, could your business survive with zero new revenue coming in? That gives you a good idea what your war chest should look like. Now, the minimum standard is 3 months of operating expenses in a war chest. That's like just to get to the party line. Like that's just the entry line. Now, if you're not there, then that is your first priority. Now, Olivia and Henry are the most dangerous because they feel like they're making good decisions. They really, truly do. Olivia feels like she's being prudent. Henry feels like he's earned it. But both are on the red line and both are accelerating in the wrong direction and they can't see it. Olivia cuts her way to mediocrity. Henry celebrates his way to catastrophe. Both think that they're winning. So now you know the 4 demons. The question is, what do you actually do when you recognize one of them in yourself? People ask me all the time, what's the hack? What's the one thing that makes the biggest difference in a business? And the truth is, there is no hack. But if there was one hack, this would be it. So what is that? There's one skill that separates the businesses that are thriving from businesses that stall. It's the one thing, and that is the speed of correction. How fast you notice you're off course and how fast you can get back on track. Remember the plane that's flying from Sydney to Los Angeles? 98% of the time, it's off course. But it gets there because it's constantly identifying the drift and it's realigning quickly. Every moment, course correcting fast. That's the skill we're building. It's not perfection saying I have to be on the green line. It's not going, hey, I'm never going to go off track, because you will. But it's the skill of the speed of recognition. It's the speed of knowing when you're on the red line and your ability to get back onto the green line. So here's the process in 3 steps. Step 1 is diagnose which demon you're in right now. So this part, you got to be honest with yourself. Are you grinding without results and the spark's starting to fade? That's Reggie. Are you mentally done and you're cutting costs and downsizing the dream? That's Olivia. Have you lost a key client and your pipeline's starting to dry up and you're in scarcity mode? That's a Leone. Or have you had a really big win and you're feeling like you figured it all out, you know what you need to be doing, and you got your stuff sorted? That's Henry. And also remember, if you're in a business partnership, you and your partner might be in different demons. Now that's completely normal. If you're husband and wife, brothers, siblings, whatever it is, someone could be in one stage and someone could be another. One might be in Reggie while the other is Olivia. And what happens is you're solving each one individually, then you're coming together and you're prioritizing. Step 2 is to future pace the cost of inaction. So what I mean by that is go forward into the future, not 1 week, not 1 month, but go like 2 years or 3 years. And if you're still in the demon that you're in right now, in 3 years from now, what does your life look like? What does your business look like? What's happened to your energy? What's happened to your relationships? What's happened to your finances? That's the stick that gets you moving. So now what we do is we flip it. To break through this, what we want to do is you want to think, okay, when I trust this process, when I follow the system, when I do the work, What does your life look like in 3 years? More money, more time, a team that runs the business without you. That's the carrot. That's the thing to get excited and get motivated around. And that leads to step 3, to choose your next 3 specific actions. 3. Not 15, not a complete business overhaul, just 3 actions based on which demon you're in right now. It's giving you hyper focus. We've got a saying in my company, and that is, if you don't know what you need to be doing in the very next 15 minutes, the first thing to seek out is clarity. And what happens is people are spreading themselves like a sprinkler and they need to be a fire hose. What we're saying here is 1, 2, 3. We want to limit that and we want to channel your energy. There are 3 specific actions based on which demon you're in and what 3 things you're going to do in the next 2 weeks. For Reggie, it's 1, tight goals over the next 120 days. It's free up his time. Might be looking at team that he needs to put in there and cutting away things that are not serving. Next thing is book a holiday, something that gives you the brightness of the future. For Leonie, it's actually, I got to change my mindset and go, I'm in a bar fight. I'm making things happen. I want to look at my week, and rather than abdicating, I'm going to take action. I'm going to put 4 hours a week minimum to start with, block to do lead gen every single week and build up to 1 to 2 days so you build a great pipeline. And also look at their product client matrix in another video to go through and understand what's the low hanging fruit that I can hit. For Olivia just needs to go, you know what, you just need to push through. I know you're not liking it, but you need to push through. There's going to be some product refinement that's required. That's probably why you're feeling a bit crappy at the moment. And we need to pulse check your team, make sure you get the right people on the team. To help Olivia a little bit, we also want to do this future pacing exercise so they get excited in the future. They go, oh, actually, it's all right, cool my jets, focus on the dream, and then go for it. For Henry, they want a number 1. They want to have a war chest of at least 3 months of operational expenses. The second thing is to double down on team meeting rigor. And the third one is get a coach or get a board that's going to help you to be accountable, because the worst person to be accountable for or to is yourself. And here's a really important thing. If you were to score yourself on those 4 demons and go, right, what's my attitude? And go, right, as far as positivity goes in each of those demons, you might go, okay, I'm a 7. Wherever you are, as a general rule, your team is 2 notches below where you're at. And you go, oh man, they're in that same trajectory you are. That's expensive. So the cool thing is, when you sort yourself out first and lift you, you lift the whole team. But if you stay off track, they will too. The point is, there are no hacks. There's just the speed to go off track and the speed for you to come back on. How fast you notice that you're in drift, how fast you decide you can correct it, that's the skill that compounds over years and separates the businesses that soar from the ones that stall. You're gonna fall off course, that's normal. Everyone does. The only question is, how fast can you get back on track? And that's the choice right in front of you right now. Right now, the gap between where you are and where you could be is small. You might barely notice it, but what we know is in 18 months, that gap becomes irretrievable. The question isn't whether you'll drift, because you will. The question is whether you'll notice it today while the correction is still easy, or in 18 months when it's really not. Now, if you want support diagnosing which demon is at play in your business and getting back on the green line, then an easy way, we're happy to help you on that, is to book a growth driver call below, and we'll help you to see around the corners that you can't see. Because here's the truth. Drift is silent, decisions are loud, make the loud choices.